Hi there, welcome to a series of videos called English for Emerson. On this channel we do a little of everything, and today we're talking about goodness and greatness, and we're going to define what those are, and the main topic of this video is going to be trying to point out that goodness and greatness are two totally separate things, and that great people are often not good, and that good people are often not great. And occasionally you find people in this world who are both great and good at the same time. And anyway, that's what this is all about. And I got to thinking about this because I've been teaching my son Emerson about Christopher Columbus, who was a great man, but not necessarily a good man. And what am I talking about? What does it mean to be great? In my opinion, to be great is to set very high goals and then go about achieving those goals and to succeed in accomplishing those goals. That's what greatness is. You set high goals and then you achieve them. For example, let's say someone wanted to be the president of a country, or the governor of a state, or the mayor of a big city. That would be a high goal. Another goal would be like winning a gold medal would be a high goal. Another example would be to become very wealthy. Let's say, to to buy a bunch of property and to become very, very wealthy in the real estate business, like apartments and office buildings and things like that. Okay, these are all high goals. Also, like becoming a virtuoso piano player or something like that, and being paid to travel the world and play piano concertos in front of audiences everywhere and huge auditoriums. You know what I'm saying? These are high goals, and people do this all the time and become great at something. They achieve their goals. I'm going to give you some examples, one of them being Christopher Columbus. Why was he such a great man? Well, for one thing, he was self-educated, meaning he grew up in Italy, but he didn't really go to an established university for his education. He studied on his own and got all kinds of books and studied astronomy, which is the study of the planets, the stars, the heavenly bodies. He became very, very educated in this subject. Also, navigation. Navigation means how to move around, especially in terms of on ships, how to find your way at sea. He was also studied maps and become a very, very talented cartographer. That's what someone who's accomplished with maps. He also was a very good linguist. He spoke multiple languages: Italian, Portuguese, Spanish, among others, I believe. I think he spoke maybe 5 languages. So he was very well educated. He was self-educated. He didn't have somebody else give him, his education. He went and got all the books and learned himself. That's very, very impressive alone, to learn all those languages and to become skilled in all those different things. But not only that, he persuaded I believe the King and Queen of Portugal to fund him 3 ships and a bunch of men and sailors to go on an expedition that no one had really set out to do in the way that he did. He believed that the earth was round. He had a theory. The earth was a sphere, like a ball, and that he could make a new trade route from Europe to China across the Atlantic Ocean. At that time, all the ship traffic from China to Europe went around Africa, all the way down to the bottom of the Cape of Good Hope, and then back through the Indian Ocean all the way over there to China. But he said, no, I think I can find a better way, and I can just sail west and run into China on the other side. He could circumnavigate the globe. He had this idea, and he persuaded this king and queen to give him these ships and enough money to make the voyage. And then he set off. He set a high goal, which was to discover a new trade route to China And then he got the funding somehow, persuaded people to give him money because he didn't have enough money to do it. And then he set out and accomplished it. He found a new trade route, but he did not find the trade route to China. He found a new route to a place that no one in Europe even knew existed, and that was America, the Americas. It's very interesting that when he died, he still believed that he had discovered Asia. He had no idea that he had discovered a whole new continent. It's a very, very interesting story. There's an interesting story that is told that he knew so much about astronomy and the heavenly bodies and had studied it so much that he knew the dates of eclipses when the sun or the moon would go dark in the sky because something was going to fly, was going to block the light from it, basically out there in space somehow. And he knew the date of an upcoming lunar eclipse, and he was in Jamaica at the time, dealing with natives who were hostile to him. They were not giving him the things that he wanted. And he said, hey, if you don't give me the things that I need, my gods are going to become angry and they will darken the sky very soon. He knew this eclipse was coming as he studied so much. And when the eclipse came, the natives were shocked and they ran to ask for forgiveness and give him the things that he wanted. So he was very, very, very well educated, self-taught, and accomplished great things. He is what you call a great person. He set high goals and accomplished them. But was he a good person? Well, maybe not. It's hard to judge people in history by our current standards of morality. But he is known to have written letters to people and say, hey, you know what? These people who I've discovered on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean are very, very simple-minded. And we could easily subjugate these people. What does that mean, subjugate? It means we could turn them into slaves. We could take anything that we wanted. Well, that's not really good because it views other people as inferior or less than. To judge other people as inferior means that they're less than me. That's not good. Well, what is goodness? Goodness is completely different than greatness. It's not setting high goals and accomplishing them. Goodness is treating other people with fairness and honesty and goodwill, meaning that you hope good things for others, not just yourself. Meaning you are on the level with everybody. You don't see yourself up here and them down here, or them up here and you down here. Goodness is to establish level, I'm trying to get my hands level, fair, honest relations with others and treating them the way you'd like to be treated, and also expecting people to treat you, the way that you'd like to be treated. It's not just about serving others, but really trying to be on the level with people. I would say that's goodness. And having that spirit of goodwill, of wanting to be fair with others in your heart and fair with life as well. I would say that is goodness. It's very close to fairness and also seeking the best for others, including yourself, And also honesty and humility are all good traits. There's been a lot of great people in this world and a lot of good people too, but there's not necessarily in the same person you find greatness and goodness. What are some other really, really great people? I've talked on this channel about Muhammad Ali, who made the goal, a very high goal, of becoming heavyweight champion of the world. And he did it and defeated a really, really tough fighter named Sonny Liston. And then he lost his heavyweight title when he opposed the Vietnam War. And then he came back and won the heavyweight title again from another beast, George Foreman, in the Rumble in the Jungle. He set another high goal and achieved it again. That's greatness. What's another great man is Arnold Schwarzenegger. He grew up very, very poor in Austria, and he set a goal of coming to America, becoming a champion bodybuilder, becoming very rich, becoming a movie star. And he did all of those things. He got the championship in bodybuilding, and then he became very wealthy. Before he became real famous, he started buying up apartment buildings and, slowly accumulating more and more property. He became very wealthy. And then he got into the movies. And, think about it. He did not speak English well. He did not know how to act. It was ridiculous to think that he could become a movie star, but he just set the goal. He went and took acting lessons. He went and took English lessons, and he became a movie star. And then he married a very, very famous woman from a very powerful family. And then he became governor of California, set the goal of becoming governor of California, and accomplished it. Think about what that life is like. Imagine if you were an American or from some other country and you decided, I'm going to go to Austria, where he was from. I'm going to learn to speak Austrian. I'm going to become a champion in a sport. I'm going to become a famous Austrian movie star, and I'm going to become the governor of a big place in Austria. That'd be crazy to think like that, but he did all that in terms of coming to America. He did all those things. It's incredible story. Great man. But when he was alive, early in his life, and he's still alive, but when he was living earlier in his life, he was not really considered all that good of a person by a lot of people, probably. He was kind of a difficult maybe to deal with, and very, very, very competitive. Same thing with Muhammad Ali, not always the nicest person. Later in life, Muhammad Ali became a much more good person. He was all about being fair and respectful with people in his relations and honest. And so has Arnold Schwarzenegger. They've kind of shifted from being great at something. They shifted over time to becoming good. This is a common thing with great people, is that later in life, they often change their priorities from achieving goals to becoming good. And it's very, very, very sad when people who are great do not make this change in their life. They keep on trying, even though they're old, they keep trying to get more and more and more and more and more and win and win and win and win. And it looks stupid after a while. There's something about life that people, as they age, kind of make a change from trying to be great to trying to be good. That's a healthy way to go through life. People who don't do that are kind of end up kind of sad and oftentimes lose everything. So that's just part of life. I'll give you, I want to give an example of another great person in a completely different field. That was Ludwig von Beethoven, a very famous composer in Europe. It's very, very interesting. He composed entire pieces of music, symphonies, and some of his greatest works of music, even though he had become completely deaf. He could not hear the music being played that he wrote down on paper. It was all in his mind. He was basically hearing the music and thinking up the melodies and the songs. Can you imagine writing entire symphonies of music when you're completely deaf and never being able to hear them played? But he set a high goal. I'm going to write the greatest symphonies of all time. And then he wrote them down and he accomplished it. Incredible greatness. Incredible greatness. Now I want to give one last example before I quit the video of someone in this world who has been both great and extremely good. And it's probably not going to be someone you would expect. Probably not. But I'm going to say on this one, someone who's extremely great and extremely good, what I would say is Mother Mary, the mother of Jesus. there's not much written about Mary in the Bible. She's got most of it, in the Gospels is written about Jesus, and also the apostles, the disciples also. But there's not that much written about Mary, but it's very interesting that Mary, the mother of Jesus, she had a kind of a tragic life. Her son was crucified, and then he rose himself from the dead, and then he ascended into heaven. So she had a lot of tragedy to deal with that. She lost her son in a way, and then of course he was resurrected, but then he left the earth. But she somehow has appeared to people over the last over 2,000 years, multiple people. And I mean, really, I think hundreds of thousands of people have experienced the apparitions of Mary. She appears to people. I'm going to put up the photos of some of the apparitions that people have actually taken pictures of her. One of the most famous photos is taken on the top of a church in Cairo, Egypt. She lived for a number of years in Egypt when Jesus and Joseph and her had to leave Israel because the king of part of Israel was trying to have Jesus killed, because the wise men, anyway, had told this king about a new king that had been born. Well, anyway, he said, I don't want a new king. I want to be king. So he had all the newborns killed in this area. Well, Joseph had a dream about it, that this was going to happen. And so he took his family to Egypt, and they lived there for many years. Well, Mary has appeared numerous times in Egypt. And also she's appeared to people all over the world, and works incredible miracles of healing for people. She wishes the best for people. She helps people. And she loves people, and people love her. And so she's done great miracles of healing for people in many ways, and also is able to appear, I guess, whenever she wants. I would like to see her sometime. But anyway, I'll put up some pictures of the apparitions of Mary. And also, she converted the Native Americans in Mexico, because she appeared to a guy in Mexico after the Europeans came. I can't remember his name, Juan Diego Garcia or something like that. Anyway, I'll put up the picture of the apparition. They took a picture. There's it's hard to explain, but there's this image of her that is from that time, that is super old. And people go, it's in Mexico, I believe, and people go to this huge church. It's a great, big, huge deal. But that's my example of someone who's both great and good. I hope it makes sense in this video what I'm trying to say. I've gone on way too long again, and I hope that makes sense for you, Emerson, what the difference is between greatness and goodness, and we'll do it again next time on English for Emerson. Okay, bye-bye.